We're live. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
So welcome to our Sacred Sunday Spiritual Circle. We're so excited to have a few wonderful new faces here. Some of our familiar Sacred Circle gatherers. So really thankful for this day, this March, right before the equinox, that we get to be here and have a very special guest, Chino Al-Ramir. This is such a joy. It's been a few years in the works to finally get this moment happen. So thank you so much.
We thank you guys for taking the time on this weekend. We know all of you guys have busy lives, lots of errands, and many things happening in this beautiful ascension and conscious evolution. So we're really blessed and thank you for taking the time. Thank you, Mom. Thank you, Mom. My family that has come all the way down from Baltimore and our places, as well as everyone else that has come here.
And my cousins and my second cousins. I'm just so honored to have today.
So we thank you, and I thank you, honey, because as many of you may not be aware, there's a lot of preparation before coming here. And so I just honor honey and just the elegance, the Persian way of presentation. You can see and the elegance of coming forth. So thank you for, as always, coming.
So today is extra special in my heart just to have us gather, especially because we're coming up to the New Year's, spring equinox, which is the Persian New Year for us this coming Wednesday. And here is the ceremonial little tiny setting, my version, with crystals and all of that and light code language in there, thrown in there. And but it has so much meaning for me, and I'm totally detached from the actual incarnation. Being an Iranian incarnate, I recognize it was very important to come through that portal here on Earth and to deliver certain messages and sort of like help raise the vibration in that way. But there is so much beauty in what the new year represents, which is the spring equinox, and we really go through tremendous experience as in general Iranians, just to prepare for the welcoming of the spring energy. So I wanted to take advantage of that consciousness and what it really represents, as we have just a couple more days of this so-called winter until the rejuvenation of spring coming forward. And with this setting, we have a lot of symbolic meaning that represent, each of them represent what the message of spring is. And I really wanted to take this in this place because each time we have a gathering, Michael and I don't talk about what we're going to discuss. We certainly don't tell our guests what they're going to discuss. We're all just going to show up because some of our former guests, we don't tell you what to say either. We say it's a message that comes through you, something you're very excited about through the divine to share with us. So today in my practice, I had very clear message through the angels that I wanted to share today. And we're going to tie it to what the spring energy is all about. So let's break this down. There's been a lot happening, right? A lot of ups and downs, right? A lot of turmoil. What else is new? We've been all going sort of through this. I usually call it a cosmic wash machine. It's like thrown in the universe like this, right? Right? It's like left and right. You're being hit by everything. I always say to my ayahuasca-tarian circle, you don't need it because the universe is doing it for you because you're constantly having to purge. Seriously. Because we talk about this. Like it's like massive purging constantly. Why? Because there are all these light streams coming in, right? Preparing us for what? preparing us for the divine that's already inside that wants to step forward. So we are having this ability to let go. But are we willing to let go? Sometimes, but not often, right? So there's things that are still holding us in our human form because of the human consciousness is sort of tied together in this dense formation. Look at us. We are light body, but we're in this thing called human form. It's a borrowed body. We could have been a plant, we could have been an animal, doesn't matter, but we've put together in this density in the form, in this purpose right now, we are a human form. And within that comes many things, which is these things called attachments. And these attachments have weights on them. And so as a result of them, what do? They sort of bind us and sometimes hold us feel like prisoners, correct? Because it's not free. We can't like fully be spread wide in our true angelic wings and fly without all these limitations and sort of like, I don't know, how do I want to best put it? Just heaviness. Whereas in reality, the deep truth inside of it knows that we are light. None of this sometimes inside brings truth. We know we can fly. How many know this? Like I know this within the core of my being, I can fly. How many of you remember this? Okay, yeah. So how many of us have had dreams where we're flying? Come on, because you can. But what happens in the collective consciousness, we have agreed that we can't fly in our human form. Or we can't breathe underwater. Hello, we breathe underwater for like 9 months. We can't hear, right? So there are all these collective agreements that we're breaking out of. Within the collective agreement, this winter energy is very important for our Western Hemisphere because we get to go into the depth of the woman inside, the feminine inside. We have to embrace that part of us, that sacred, deep feminine energy, which is the ultimate darkness, but not shadow, not illusion, where the actual birthing of everything takes place. Often we're not willing to create this space for it, to cocoon ourselves into it, right? Because the energy is usually excited or stimulated or aroused because it just needs to take care of this, and this, right? So within this space, it is the birth of everything that happens, just as it is in the cosmos, just as it is in the universe. You have to go deep, so deep inside to touch the creator inside, so that creator first can come in. And that's what spring really represents. So the sprouts we see, right, is because it's been seeded. Something has been seeded and it's been cared for, nourished for, then it's sprouted out. We're just coming into this under the full moon in a few days. So what have you been seeding? What is really deep in this, like, winter months? You've been clearing and then seeding, right? So it can start to come out. There's a lot of birthing ready to go out. Basically, like, what have you been tired of, right? You're just like, I'm done with it. I don't want to repeat it anymore, right? There's plenty of that, right? You want to have a list like me? Right? Don't be shy. We're all in it together. So all of this, we're like, done. But we can no longer come from a place of frustration. We are coming from a place of joy and excitement to bring the solutions forward. That's what spring represents, the sprout inside. So one of the things I wanted to do with you today was to help you remember that you're not alone. Most of us have felt very alone. Thank you very much. Nothing like anything new. Alone in what sense? Alone is like, I just want to be understood. I just want to be heard. I just want to be hearted. I just want to be held, but not held like this. I want to be held by the power of a love that's so bigger that can just comfort me, let me know that it's going to be okay. All this BS problems that are showing up, all the drama, trauma, nonsense is actually for a purpose. Somewhere deep inside we know, right? But it's deep inside. You gotta bring it out so it becomes the fullness of its expression. No. But we've forgotten to include help. We often ask our human friends for help. They are so beautiful. Our human family friends, amazing. We're so blessed. And sometimes that's just not enough because we have so much more assigned to us to help us to deliver these goods, deliver these gifts. So within that, I put a little note paper for you, for each of you, next to you with a little pencil. And I want you to really be honest with you. You're not going to be sharing this with me or Michael. Thank you, by the way. Facebook, no, it's the YouTube live stream for being with us. Thank you so much. You all can also use this if you like. We have a few more days till the spring coming forward and it's full moon. What I really want to ask you is to give yourself permission to really embrace that deep core part of you where you have the biggest fear. Your biggest fear. Number 1, number 2, number 3. I just want to be on right now. If you want to put 5 of them, you can. But I really want you to be honest. Say, I am scared of this. And it's okay. I just want you to write it because I'm going to take you through a little exercise. Just really be honest with yourself. I'm really scared of it. This is what's really weighing on my heart. It's like weighing on my shoulder. And I just want to cry, but I don't want to show my vulnerability. And I just want somebody to tell me it's going to be okay, that I'm feeling this, and I'm not crazy. I'm not wrong for feeling it. And when you have written it, when you have really written it, and just tune into it. And be okay with giving yourself permission to just allow this. It's just going to come in this sacred space right in here. Everything has been prayed for before. We have a whole team here that will support. And what I'm going to ask you to do is now put it, if you can, maybe put it in your chest, if you can. So close your hands, because I want your hands to be free, because we're going to invite some help here to support. Okay? And you put your things down too. Michael, you should do this too. Will be good. Thank you. Okay, so I let go of your pencils. And with this, I want to have you stand up. So you're going to call up my help. So if you notice, there are cards on the floor. And each of these cards today is really with the support of Archangel Michael. We're really going to assist handling the reading one of them. And to help support us with the team of angels. So what I want to share with you first is this. Every single one of you has guardian angels, and you have a team of angels of about 1,000. Every single one of you. You have 2 immediate guardian angels. In some of the Western religions, they say, well, it's right here. Well, literally it is. There's a guardian always on both of your sides. From the day you incarnate into earth, there's a guardian angel with you. Till the day you depart, the guardian angels are assigned to you. Now, the angelic teams work with, whether they're virtues, sheriffs, cherubims, seraphims, a bunch of them, and archangels. They work with archangels, and archangels work directly with divine, and they're here to help support all of us. So I'm just going to invite you today to give yourself permission not to carry the pressures of life on your own. Give yourself permission to open these palms, and I'm going to have you raise your hands up as I'm going to start doing this. Let's see if I can use your Michael here. So I'm going to have you just close your eyes here. I want you to breathe in this blue mist into your heart, and breathe out the pink mist outward. And breathe in this deep blue mist into yourself. And breathe out breath. Pink mist. And deepen that breath. Breathe in. You don't have to put your arms so up to get tight. Just open yourself, open your arms because you're ready to receive. Okay. So we're going to call upon the team of angels to help support us. Every single one of us to know we're not alone. We didn't come to earth to carry the load more by ourselves. So I want you to just breathe in the trust. Breathe into that space that you're calling up on top. And I'm going to go ahead and begin dear beloved angels, dear Archangel Michael, we ask you to present before us, in front of us, behind us, to our left and to our right, your beautiful, dazzling flame of blue light to cut free all the obstacles in our path, allowing ourselves to be free from the discord of life. We invite you into our hearts today. We invite you into our life today. I ask you, as we ask you, to take that which doesn't serve us. Take these limitations and fears and turn them into light. Clear my auric body, my auric field, my auric consciousness with your dazzling diamond ray of light. Set me free. Help me be the divine that I am in this perfect purity. And I invite you to join me by just embracing here I am. Thank you, Archangel Michael. Thank you, Archangel Raphael. Thank you, Archangel Leo. Thank you, Archangel Gabriel. Thank you, Archangel Shamuel. Thank you, Archangel Raphael. Thank you, Archangel Sandoval. Thank you, Archangel Hanya. Thank you, Archangel Jophiel. Thank you, Archangel Hariel. Thank you, Archangel Samuel. Thank you, Archangel Jeremiah. Thank you, Archangel Azrael. Thank you, Archangel Raziel. Thank you, Archangel Zadkiel. Thank you, Archangel Metatron. Please surround us, help us, and allow us to find the courage to reach out to you in every part of our life that we need help, and to help remember that we're not alone, and that we are loved by your grace and your presence, and we are here to carry forth the work of divine on its behalf through your help and your support. We open ourselves to your support and your blessings, and we release these fingers to be held by you, to be embraced by you, to be touched by you. As we begin just our communication with you, as if you're right here, right now. And so it is. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Thank you. So these parts, when you leave today, let it go buried in the ground. Let it sprout into the moon. You gave away, so now you can move forward. Trust that it's taken care of. You don't have to carry it by yourself. And now we'll welcome our beloved brother, Chino Al-Ramir. Come on, Ramir. Thank you so much.
Hello, everyone. Hello. Hello. I'm Chino Al-Ramirez. I'm a physical therapist. I'm also the owner of Metaphysical Therapy in Springfield, Virginia. It's a pleasure. Thank you for welcoming me today. Thank you. As with previous other guest speakers whom HoniB and Michael have welcomed into their home for the SSSS, they've asked me to speak on God's love and how I've experienced divine love in my life. Very recently, I've signed up to participate with the Sacred Ecstatics Mentorship Program. It's being run by Doctors Bradford and Hillary Keeney, the Keeneys. And being part of this program has seen me go from praying to God with the words that my family, my elders, my church have taught me, to more praying with my whole body. To pray with my body, with my spirit, with my emotion, thereby raising the spiritual temperature, making the big room of first creation accessible, not just to me, but to everyone who is called to do so. The ultimate goal is to evoke sacred emotion in achieving sacred ecstasy. Sacred ecstasy is defined as the experience of extreme joy that comes from feeling close to divine mystery. It is the highest form of jubilation. What the Keeneys have concluded is that all major religions and some of the various neo-shamanic movements have become devoid of any sacred emotion. The former, having had that initial emotion, which led to that formation, that faith, become gradually diluted with each succeeding generation. The latter, having more to rely on trances and the inducement of trance, considering emotion more as a thought than as a feeling. The mentorship program teaches participants the 4 basic ingredients that the Keeneys have identified amongst the various Aboriginal peoples that they studied throughout the years. The Kalahari Bushmen in Africa. They've gone to Japan to study Seiki, the non-subtle energy. They've studied the Shakers of St. Vincent and the Grenadines in the Caribbean. And they've even spent time in the Amazon to be with the people there. They found that despite all its varieties of expression, ecstatic experience always begins with fascinating rhythm, which I like to call fascinating rhythm, spontaneous body movement, melodic tones, and of course, sacred emotion. With fascinating rhythm, you use varied beats and syncopation to get unstuck from the rhythmic rut that we all find ourselves falling prey to. That boredom, that tedium that we find ourselves performing day after day. Get up, get out, walk, hello, repeat all over again. After a while, that becomes the norm, and that was never meant to be. With spontaneous body movements, or Seiki, you start with a voluntary, purposeful movement, like swaying to a beat, and then allowing your body to naturally shift to more spontaneous movement. For those of you who practice myofascial release, it's very similar but actually different from unwinding, where the practitioner will start a set voluntary movement, but then after a while, taking a step back and allowing their client to start with their spontaneous movement. With tonal alignment, you have your body become more responsive to melodic tones. A very simple example of doing this is to break down music into its low notes, the bass notes, into the mid-range, and to the high notes. Do that. And then what you do is as, for instance, as you hear a bass note, you allow your hips to wiggle to it. You hear a mid-range, you allow your shoulders, your torso to wiggle to it. And the high notes, you allow your head to move onto it. And as you begin to listen in this new way, imagine going to a concert or a symphony and listening with your whole body, not just with your ears. How profound would that experience be? These three ingredients, once gathered and blended, start to have a call and response mechanism. Fascinating rhythm will lead to spontaneous body movements. Spontaneous body movements will lead to tonal alignment. Tonal alignment will lead to fascinating rhythms that come from inside. Fascinating rhythms come from inside will cause you to start building up melodic tones from within, setting up the conditions for that fourth and most important ingredient, sacred emotion. It's actually very similar. Personally, I find it very similar to a sporting event where when you attend the sporting event, you start cheering on for your team. Regardless of whether they're doing well or not, you start cheering for your team. The team hears this and they're like, yeah, they're cheering for us. Let's play even better. Then a call and response starts to get established. You start to play better. The crowd starts to really get into it. They start to build that emotion. The temperature of the stadium starts to get warmer and warmer until eventually the fire and the energy of that stadium becomes indescribable unless you were there. Sacred emotion is just like that, but even more. Conversely, could you imagine going to a sporting event, walking in, whipping out your booklet, seeing your team, and then going tick, 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 tick. Ooh, that's the rut we find ourselves in nowadays, unfortunately. So some of you may not be saying, wow, that's pretty cool. How do I get some of this sacred emotion? Have I even felt sacred emotion? And one main way to do it is through sacred music or singing holy songs, or basically just songs or music that stir the soul. I must admit, I've listened to Alicia Keys, and whereas Alicia Keys sang to her lover, I sang to God. I told him how much he meant to me, how much I love him. How else can you spark sacred emotion? Through simple prayer lines. Another way is through simple but potent prayer lines. The simpler, the better. Just cut through the BS. No need to go through a whole litany, minutes long, hours long, just something simple. Holy Spirit, breathe on me. Mm-hmm. Oh, Holy Spirit, breathe on me. Thy will be done. Oh, Lord, 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 thy will be done. My favorite. I need thee. Oh, I need thee. I need thee. Oftentimes, these are the prayers. You think about it and you're like, God, they're so simple. I'm too embarrassed to say it. But you just got to get out of that, get out of your head.
I
Just
hope
let it
you're
out.
doing a few of these now.
Yeah.
I'm just so ready here too.
Yeah, just get out of your head and just do it. And once you get all four of these ingredients going in a call and response, one building upon the other, you make the conditions ideal for sacred ecstasy. What the Kalahari Bushmen call being struck by the nail or the arrow from God. What does it feel like to be hit by God's arrow? Wow. I'm lucky you're wondering. I have a few recorded examples of what people have said throughout the years. some things that some academics or holy people have gone to these Aboriginal peoples to find out. My wife Rochelle here will show some pictures of what sacred ecstasy looks like. Then, like a flash, the power of God struck me. I ran to an elm tree and tried to put my arms around it. Never had I felt such a love before. That was conveyed by a man named Charlie, who was a freed slave in Mississippi. I was filled with this great joy, a joy so intense that I wished I had arms long enough to embrace the whole world. That's by Credo Mutwa, who was a Zulu Sangoma in the High Sea. Some more examples. And actually, one of the main ones that we draw upon in the Sacred Ecstatics Mentorship Program is by a woman named CMC, whose initials are CMC up in Quebec and Montreal. Her words were, every longing of the heart was satisfied. Every question answered. Pent up, aching rivers had reached the ocean. I loved infinitely and was infinitely loved. The universal tide flowed in upon me in waves of joy and gladness, pouring down on me as in torrents of fragrant balm. It was emotion itself, it was ecstasy. That infinite ocean was eternal love, the soul of nature, and all of one endless smile. If you guys are up for it, I can give you guys even a demonstration of how I used to pray versus how I pray now.
Yes,
And if you guys are so moved, please feel free to sway, allow fascinating rhythm to build up, and then we'll take it from there. If something comes up, just bring it forward.
I'm ready.
All right. So whereas before, that's what a lot of us are taught, I would stand very solemnly and respectfully, and I would say a prayer, something like the Lord's Prayer. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Amen. For thine is the glory, the power. Whereas now, I keep it simpler. I choose a fascinating rhythm, fascinating tone. Start slight voluntary movement. Oh Lord, my God. Oh, I need thee, Lord. Come upon us right now. Oh, bless this wonderful congregation. My brothers and sisters, for you have made us feel thy love. Ooh, today. Oh Lord, how great thou art. What a blessing it is to be here with you right now. Thank you. Woo! Woo! Thank you. What a blessing. Thank you. My brother. Thank you. Woo! Thank you. I love you. I love you, brother. Thank you. Thank you. I love you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I love you. Thank you. Thank you. Hey! Woo! Thank you, Lord. Thank you for being here right now. Thank you all for being here right now.
Thank you.
Very welcome.
You know, I love that you share that because it's been a few years when I do the morning prayer, like there's just this singing and moving, and I'm like in tears talking to God like that. I really know that space and how intimate and beautiful that is. And thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
that gift of sharing. Thank you.
We can all have a seat now. Thank you, Chino. Thank you for this beautiful expression. Powerful energy. Thank you,
It's
honey.
hard to sit
Michael, you gotta now sing it.
That's your homework, Michael.
That's the beautiful thing. We don't know what's going to be said, how things are going to be going through, so usually we're trying to tie it all together. So that's always gets the beautiful opportunity just to be in gratitude and just to feel the energy that has been blessed upon us, because I just wanted to start out in bringing just the remembrance, the message of this universal field that literally we just felt. This connection, this life, this force that how cannot we literally feel it in our hearts of what was just expressed. This natural force that from the Far East we may call life force, chi. From Latin America, sin pausa, without rush, without pause. There is this natural flow of energy. And the reason I bring this to our attention right now is because how many of us on a daily basis are being hit with problems, obstructions, limitations, and energies
But
that
it's
are
finished now. Michael opened your Michael took it.
Yes.
It's
It's finished now. Yet as we still go through our element, that it comes through us. I just want to bring the message of the deep powers, because as you know, when you walk into this room, when you see Honey and I, we work with energy, we serve through energy, and we really believe that energy within us is for us to be empowered, to be free, and to live the fullest of who we are. As many of you know, Honey and I were on our way to Brazil. In the last moments, everything shifted. Everything changed. Without going into details, what it taught and what I want to share today that each of us have the opportunity to do is surrender. And what strength and what power it is to surrender. Now, a lot of us in the old conditions, when we think of surrendering, we may think of giving our power away or losing or feeling like we've been defeated. But when I say surrender from the heart of love. Surrender within in giving the power to accept. In this surrendering, in this power of acceptance, it allows us to be free. To move with this universal flow that connects all of us and brings forth our natural residence. How interesting when we surrender, when we let go. What happens? We allow.
And most important, we start to do the one power that all of us are working on daily: trust. Yet so many of us are still fighting and going through resistance and trying to figure out how. Yet when we just bring this power of surrendering, which is just one breath away, it's just one choice in our free will, just to let go, trust, and allow this universal frequency, this energy that connects every one of us, to bring forth the magic that naturally happens. For even when we try to plan, even when we try to fight or go to the highest point, when we just surrender and let go, some of the biggest surprises happen. I'm so happy that HoniB placed all of our fears right here, because you know what those fears are? There are our lessons, there are our tests, those are our road bumps, those are our hurdles. But when we surrender to these fears and we just allow them to come forward and to see how we can thrive and our ability to accept, to let go and just feel what's happening. On a personal experience, I could not be more excited in how months and months of planning of an area where HoniB and I were so impelled to go to shifted in a matter of seconds that allowed us not only to surrender, but open up one of the most beautiful opportunities for us to see a paradise, a beautiful area for us to be in sharing our sacred energies, in sharing our service. And the reason why I really bring forth this surrendering, because I find in this time, there's a lot of separation, there's a lot of ideas, there's a lot of thoughts. We know that we are connected within one. And we know that each day we're drawing closer in being in that oneness, because there's lots of separation out there. Yet, when we surrender, we allow, we let go, we flow, we open up that trust within our heart just to be. And that's the message I really want to share to you today, because in that beingness, we resonate with that universal divine alignment. And as we resonate that together in gatherings, in our service, and our ability to shine that, then we don't fight and push and pull in the energies going beyond. Because right now, the whole movement is to come within our hearts, to come in unity, to honor, to respect. But it does start with surrendering and not trying to push or pull, not trying to fight, not trying to figure it out, just allowing this energy to move through us, around us, and connect within. It's so powerful when we give this opportunity, because it brings us to the most beautiful moment, the present moment, where all energy arises, where it grows and dreams, and that magic comes true. And so today, I would just like you guys to place your hands over your hearts. Take a deep breath in, and exhale out. And exhaling out. And exhaling out. Keeping your eyes closed. And feeling this heartbeat, this natural rhythm, this flow of life that connects us to everything around us. Breathing in and feeling this freedom without limitation, without restriction. This breath, this empowerment freedom that allows each step, each movement, each moment that gives us our light to shine upon. This deep energy that arises through this breath continues as we allow it, as we trust it, as we become continuous in this beautiful circadian rhythm. That connection that we have with our breath, with our planet, with our heart. This light, this beauty, this grace continues in this allowance of breath. Brings forth our natural power. In this moment, breathing this peace, this joy, and this message that we are here in this flow, in this gift to be, to allow, and to trust. And as you keep your eyes closed and breathing, visualizing what we can surrender to, what we can let go, what we can allow, and just being in this peace. What is this rhythm of life? As the world spins, as our heart beats, as this cyclic flow of energy that moves through us, we are a part of it. And now, it is our ascension to be with it, in oneness, in connection to it. In this light that we are, in this love that we shine, we breathe it. And we just let go. We trust. And we surrender to the love within and allowing this perfection that is happening right now, right here. Just through our breath. Just through this heartbeat. Through this moment in our natural connection. There is this peace that allows us to fully connect. Inviting each and every one of you to look within and to surrender what does not feel, to let go what does not feel, and to allow the beauty, the magic, and the presence to fully bring forth the joy and happiness that arises. And just breathing this feeling in and out. Expanding it, feeling it, and most important, allowing it. This is our natural state of being. This is our rhythm. And this is our life to enjoy. Just by being. So I invite all of us to again open our eyes and stand up. So if we can form a circle. Bring our hands together. I'd like all of us just to close our eyes. And take a deep breath in together. And exhale together. A nice deep breath in. And exhaling out. And as the angels were here to lift our energies, I would like to remind these hands, this connection, this ability here to connect our hearts and to let go and place in the center of the circle anything that we would like to surrender, release. And with our breath, we're going to inhale in and exhale, we're going to send it all to the center. 2 more deep breaths, breathing in, letting it all go. Surrendering and releasing what no longer serves us. Last breath in, letting it go.
I'm going to go ahead and have us listen to this message. So, may I have you? Oh, we're gonna listen to this first. So, this is a wonderful message for us, all of us today. You're a radiant jewel in the crown of heavenly creation. Now feel yourself to move as beautiful too. Feel the cosmic movement around you. You're a radiant jewel in the crown of heavenly creation. And your light shines brightly in our midst. We angels watch over you with admiration, respect, and great love. It's natural for us to want the very best for you. We sometimes observe you making compromised choices for yourself, believing that you don't deserve better. You fear that if you receive good, you'll take away from someone else or from yourself. Beloved, believe us when we say that as you give yourself, you also give to others. You and the entire human race share one spirit, one breath, and one truth. It's impossible to separate what you do to yourself and what you do for others. It's like trying to nurture and feed only certain leaves on a tree. That's impossible. Of course, but it's exactly what you're trying to do when you attempt to put yourself last. Nurture yourself as a way of caring for your family, friends, and the entire population. Value yourself as a means of cherishing everyone on earth. Honor yourself in order to pay tribute to all others. The more you give to yourself, the more you feel great love. And that emotion is the key to happiness and peace. It doesn't mean that you think I am better than others. Rather, it signifies I love that which set within myself and others. Your self-care extends the joyful spark of creation for the benefit of all. So here's our invocation for today. I invite you to repeat after me, please. I value myself.
I value myself.
For I know that God created me perfectly.
For I know that God created me perfectly,
Inside and out.
inside and out.
The more I realize my true divine perfection,
The more I realize my true divine perfection,
the more I'm able to love.
the more I'm able to love,
And the more in turn I can cherish and heal others.
and the more in turn I can cherish and heal others. And so it is.
So, as we wrap up our circle today, we really embrace these couple of days of the dark part of ourselves. That the part of the cosmos, universal field that we're made out of, and also the light through this darkness that turns on. And that's all the sparks, that's all the sprouts, right? So allowing ourselves today to give permission, just give permission for these sparks, these sprouts to come forward. And allowing the womb inside of us, the womb of Mother, Creator first, is the reason why we have this giant cow here. You know? She's the great mother who presents in many of the cultures, from the Egyptian to there's so many cultures that always really respected the cow as the great mother nurturer, because it allows this part, it's the womb that gives. So give yourself that which is already there, that never has to be created, that has already been created, because the creator in you already planted it in there. All you gotta do is allow the sparks to just come out. That spark of the light. So with that, oh yeah, let me see. Let us just finish this circle. Dear Mother, Father God, dear Holy Alliance, dear great supreme light of one consciousness, dear great heart, dear great love, dear beloved angels, dear beloved guardians, dear beloved ancestors, dear beloved holy alliances, sacred ascended masters, dear beloved Kohans of the rays of light, the legions of light, our star brothers, sisters of light, the Galactic Federation of Light, the Intergalactic Councils of Light, the Astral Command. Thank you, team of white dragons and the white unicorns, the crystal beings, the elementals. We're so grateful to gather today on this sun-filled day, allowing this 8 energy to really create the balance of this infinite of above and below within, allowing us to be the ultimate magi, the alchemists, bridging the heaven and earth, bringing through that which is already there, just allowing that light to shine so bright, so bold, so beautiful, so bountiful. We embrace our gathering today as we allow ourselves that in which has been received Also, generously, we shared food to all that we touch in our lives today and the next many days. Allow these doors of the fountain of giving and life force to continuously flow through us, through the heavenly realms. And as we recognize it is always the stream of love that is here and it's never ending. It's eternal, and because we are eternal beings, allowing this frequency to continuously to flow through us so that divine is always whispering in our hearts. Thank you so much for this day. Thank you for the beautiful winter and its magnificent gifts. Thank you for spring coming in a few days with its full moon and this incredible plasma rays. We're so blessed to have each other. We're so blessed to gather in circles and create these portals of powerful light as we welcome the team of 1,000 angels into our lives as we leave today, and give them the opportunity to serve on our behalf by us being in full communication. Thank you so much. Thank you so much to all the presences, all the gifts, all the spirits, all the loved ones that are always with us and around us. May the love continue to surround us, before us, behind us, to our left and to our right, below and above. And so it is.
So it is.
That was a very quiet ending. We never have quiet. We just have loud ending.
It's winter time.
Okay. Next time we'll have a loud ending. Blasting. Like we have like a blasting ending. Are we supposed to have like some kind of like blasting? It feels like it.
The kennel scream.
I know, like a little blast. I feel like it. Some invocation has to come in. Don't you feel it?
Yeah.
Am I the only one who's
No,
feeling it? Yeah. Okay, let's see. Maybe a Saint Germain one. Would you be able to do the Saint Germain invocation? Yeah. You need to transmit some more stuff. Yeah. So we'll do one. Okay. Let's see. Let's see which one. Okay, how about this one? I am the being of violet fire.
I am the being of violet fire.
I am the purity God desires.
I am the purity God desires.
I am the being of violet fire.
I am the being of violet fire.
I am the purity God desires.
I am the purity God desires.
I am the being of violet fire.
I am the being of violet fire.
I am the purity God desires.
I am the purity God desires.
I am the being of violet fire.
I am the being of violet fire.
The purity God desires.
I am the purity God desires.
I am the being of violet fire.
I am the being of violet fire.
I am the purity God desires.
I am the purity God desires.
I am the being of violet fire.
I am the purity God desires.
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 I am the being of violet fire.
I am the purity God desires.
I am the being of violet fire.
I am the purity God desires.
I am the being of violet fire.
I am the purity God desires.
I am the being of violet fire.
I am the purity God desires. living by the fire.
I'm
I'm living by the fire.
Oh, yeah.
More like it. So thank you so much. That's better, right? Oh yeah. Please grab your cards and now see what our children Ooh. Nice. Can't even read it. Michael, read my cards. Oh, so good. And take a picture of it for yourself and just really sit with that next few days. Invite Archangel Michael into your hair and yeah. So we are officially complete with our sacred Sunday service.
Thank you guys.
Thank
Thank
you so
you.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Yeah, come back.
everybody.
That's
Thank
why
you.
Yeah.
Next month,
Exactly.
we're gonna have we kind of wanted to be on Easter, but we're not. It's gonna be on the 14th, and we're gonna have one of our sacred brothers that Phil and I know him very well, Ramond Holmes. He's one of my dearest friends. Haven't seen him for a while, so it's just such an honor that we get to be our speaker. And so that's on the 14th, and end of May, on the Memorial Weekend, we're gonna have our beloved sacred sister Safi, who introduced us. She's a powerful musician. I've had the honor to facilitate with her. Marco has facilitated. Together we facilitated, and that one we're gonna make it a potluck, veggie potluck, because it's Memorial Weekend. We're just gonna go ahead and have a nice little gathering for that, and that's gonna pack up. So please RSVP. And thank you, live stream. YouTube live stream. Thank you so much for being with us. Thank you, Demetrius. You're always so amazing. He's so generous. And we look forward to hearing your comments. So much love. So everybody, aho, namaste.
Aho,
Namaste.
namaste.
Rakesh. Rakesh. Happy New Year.
Happy spring.
Happy Sunday.
Right.
Happy
Yay. And so it is.